Yeah, well, gentlemen, welcome to Taupō, to New Zealand. We'll get it underway, kicking off our race weekend here with the team representatives press conference. Furthest away from me, team owner from Matt Stone Racing, none other than Matt Stone, and Brenton Grove from Grove Racing. Fellas, it's a big week for the category and a big week for the championship, naturally coming back to New Zealand and racing at a new venue. So I guess starting with you, Matt, you would just speak to your thoughts on coming here, and we were just talking off to the side a minute ago. You were born not far from here, so you coming back here, getting to bring the championship and bring the circus to this part of New Zealand. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, look, it's great. You know, it's always good to come back to New Zealand, and it's always great the vibe of when we race here. You know, the New Zealand fans come out in as many as we can fit in the gates, and as they always put on a good show. So, looking forward to the challenges of a new circuit and everything that entails, and yeah, seeing this event be a rock solid event, rock solid hit.
And you guys are coming off a pretty good high, I dare say, out of the Grand Prix at the Melbourne Super Sprint just a few weeks back. Most recent race winners, what's the vibe been like back at the workshop in Yatala with the boys and another trophy in the cabinet?
Yeah, look, it's been good. You know, we obviously hit the ground running this year. Got the race win at the last race at AGP, which, you know, that's always what we want to do. And so early in the season to tick that box means that we're mindful of what we can achieve with the rest of the year in front of us. So great start to the year. The team's really coming on song. Everyone's fitting and gelling nicely. So we're looking forward to a good, strong season ahead. And
yeah, that sort of leads into my next question here, is that the team is definitely taking strides year on year. We can see that. You picked up your first race win last year. Both cars have been pretty quick out of the gates this season. Is that part, where do you see you guys are at on that progression of where you want to get to and be consistently at the front? How do you guys see things are coming along from inside the doors there?
Yeah, look, our goal is always to go one better next year than you did the year before, and every year we're just getting a little bit better in results, a little bit more milestones, and we're ticking those boxes. So yeah, like I said, to get another race win early in the season means we want to try and go for that outright championship and team championship result that we're charging. We've not dropped a peg in the team's championship coming here, so our goal this weekend is to get that garage back, get the number 4 car of Cam Hill scoring some points, and really see what we can do.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about Cam as well. He's into his second season in the championship and definitely got off to a strong start at about the start of the year. The results might not have been as shiny at the Grand Prix, but he seems to be stepping up his game as well. Can you just talk to his progression as a driver, as a young driver in the championship?
Yeah, look, we got a lot of massive faith in Cam at the team, and we saw a huge step up in his performance this year, which we really wanted to see going into year 2. The results haven't quite shown it, but you saw a glimpse of it at Bathurst at the start of the year, and we had some really good running at AGP, but unfortunately in the trailing stages of a few races got tangled up in a few incidences and had a few little mistakes, and we haven't banked the points that we feel we could have, but we certainly see the speed is there in both Cam and the car. So this weekend we want to try and get 2 cars performing up the front and really bank a solid bit of championship points.
Yeah, and talking about this weekend, you guys had track walk today, and getting a proper feel of the place. What are sort of the key points that you guys have pointed out or have pinpointed through getting ready for this event? New track for everyone. It's all a bit different, but new for everyone, one and the same. So I guess, can you say what are some of the key highlights that you guys are really focusing on going into this weekend?
I think the key talking points is going to be tyre deck. Certainly the track surface, there's parts of it that are brand new, and there's parts of it that are going to be interesting for tyre management. And probably the other one is pit stops. Without a designated fuel drop, and with this being the first round in the PerTech Pit Stop Challenge, I think pit stops are going to be super critical. So it's really going to be a big element of the race with shorter amounts of fuel going in and more to be played out in pit lane than normal.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for that. I'll look to the gentleman to your left. Brenton, welcome to New Zealand. It's probably a big weekend for you guys, I dare say. A lot of effort that you guys have taken as a team getting ready for this event externally, and no doubt internally. You want you to speak to what you guys have brought to the table getting ready to come across the ditch.
Yeah, we're excited. We've obviously got 2 Kiwi drivers, and we've shown some really strong pace this year. Unfortunately, we didn't capitalise on some results at the Grand Prix. So for us, it's executing, it's maximising on the pace we have, and then making sure we put on a good show for Matt and Richie and really support them through this weekend, because it's a major thing for their career, and it's really exciting to bring them back home and put them on display.
And the cars have a new look this weekend. You guys have really stepped up in sort of celebrating, or not even sort of, definitely celebrating the fact you have 2 Kiwi drivers. Is there any thoughts you want to give or speak to the new look to the car and why you guys have gone to that lane?
Yeah, we work with Penrite quite closely to brand the car in a way that's fitting of any story that may be coming up. And obviously the 2 boys coming home, being the only team with all Kiwi drivers, was a really big thing for us. They have one-off race suits this weekend as well. We have one-off merchandise. So we really wanted to celebrate them coming home and hopefully have fast race cars that look good too.
Absolutely. Talking about your drivers, Matty Payne, very big roller coaster at the Grand Prix a couple weeks ago. So how is he going, getting ready for this event, and what sort of takeaways or learnings has he had from the elbows out racing that we saw at the Grand Prix?
Yeah, Matt's, he's learning still. It's easy to forget that he's so young and he's only 14 or 15 rounds into his supercar career. So look, we know as a team that Matt is a progression, and there's a long way to go with Matt too, which makes us really excited with what he's doing now. So we couldn't be happier with Matt. He analysed the weekend alongside us of what we could have done better as a team, and maybe where we could have done things differently in the races. But he's got a long way to go, and that's really cool because he's so determined. He's working so hard. He's driving a lot in our GT program as well. He's doing everything he can to better himself, and he's so much more comfortable in the team environment now. He's working really well with the engineers. He's developing the car, and he's enjoying all elements of it. So who knows where he can go. We'd like to get some more race wins than what we've had, but I think this weekend he'll hopefully be standing tall.
He's always standing tall.
He's always standing tall.
But talking about your other driver in Richie, I think when you guys made the announcement bringing Richie back before he'd even gone on to win Bathurst last year, there's probably a little bit of question as to how he would go. 2 rounds in, it is early days, but he's 6th in the championship in the lead Kiwi. It seems like he's a completely different driver. What's it like when he's inside the room with you guys and inside the truck?
Yeah, Richie's probably similar to Matt, that he's got a long way to go in executing on what he can do. But that's the other really cool thing, is he went to Bathurst and was faster than Matt and came out of the championship ahead of Matt. So Richie's rusty. It's as simple as that. He hasn't driven full time for a long time. He knows the things that he needs to work on. We know the things we need to do to support him through that. But he's going to be a very exciting talent come midway through the year, I'd say. It'll take him a couple more rounds to get used to the tyre warming process and the tyre conservation process and qualifying and all the different things that are unique to supercars. But we're super proud and happy with how he's going. He's got a great benchmark in Matt, so let's see where he ends up. But certainly there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd say naturally that comes in tow with the potential for the team. You guys currently second in the team standings at the moment. The top 4 team, it is a bit of a gap to the guys at the top. But what are you guys needing to get to that level? And it is very competitive at where you're at. So what's it taking for you guys to stay ahead of those that are trying to take that garage back from you?
Yeah, I think we're probably coming to our own a bit this year, where we're not fighting as hard to be up the front, but that doesn't mean it's not hard to be there. And the gap to Triple Eight is certainly larger than we'd like. But every weekend we bring something different, whether it's software, procedure, process, and we're still a young team. We're only in our 3rd year. So for us, we've got a long way to go to grow as a team, and our mindset is to improve one little thing each weekend, and the gap will continue to close. And we're not looking behind per se. We're trying to close the gap to Triple Eight, as everyone in the field is, because it's a big gap to them at the moment.
And the same thing I asked Matt, new track for everyone, so everyone's you could say on this level playing field in that sort of sense. What sort of things have you guys identified coming into this weekend, or what are going to be key? I think tire deck's going to be the big talking point, but what sort of things are you guys looking at and focusing on?
Look, we're trying to get our race car right. I mean, qualifying is going to be everything because it's going to be quite hard to pass here. But I think the field spread will be quite large, given the tyre deck, that a good car will hold its tyres and a bad car will drop quite a lot. So we saw some people blister tyres and have big tyre issues at the Grand Prix. So for us, it's tyre deck, but we're trying to do that earlier in the weekend rather than conserving in the race, see if we can get a good balance. But it's anyone's guess at this point. It's such a patchy surface. There's so many different surfaces, high speed, slow speed, big curbs. It's going to be an interesting weekend.
Absolutely. And I guess before I open it up to the journalists in the room, one last one. Tomorrow, a 90-minute practice session. You talk about trying to find the good balance in a race car. That's your only real opportunity to figure out what you've got. For either of you, what's your take on the general idea of the format and the concept, and what's the run plan look like for you guys? Matt, if you want to start first.
Yeah, look, I think it's good to mix it up round to round. Not have the same thing every time, to try and have different people coming to form. Like obviously, if you roll out of the, I would say truck, but if you roll out of the plane with a car that's quick, you're going to have a good practice session. You're going to learn a lot and go into qualifying strong. If you roll out at a new circuit where you haven't quite hit the nail on the head, it's going to make it hard to recover for qualifying. So, it's good thing to mix up the field. At the end of the day, it's the same for everyone. And I think it's good to have 90 minutes at some sessions and, the other format at other race events. And I don't think there's any clear better or worse. I think it's just good to have a bit of variety.
Yeah, look, for us it's good and bad. It's good because there's certain things we want to practice and try that you can't do in testing easily, so those elements are quite good. It's bad that if you don't start on the right foot or you don't tune the car well throughout the session, you don't get another opportunity. So look, it's the same for everyone. I think there's going to be a lot of different approaches, whether people are doing race runs. With the weather on Saturday, people could use more tyres than others, so it's going to be a very varied session. I don't think there'll be a true form guide till we get to a potentially dry qualifying, which may even be Sunday. So yeah, it's exciting for us. It gives Richie the opportunity to get laps under his belt, because he doesn't have the opportunity like rookies do to do those extra test days. So that's what we're quite excited for on his side. And then Matt's going to keep trying to tune and find some pace and hopefully challenge the cars up the front.
Very nice. Thank you, guys. And opening up to questions in the room. I can't take the mic with me, unfortunately. So Tony, if you just want to shout it out.
I think I've got a voice to carry. Tony Whitlock, Inside Supercars. As an Australian and New Zealand team owners, be interested to hear your point of view on back-to-back weekends in New Zealand, on running 2 events here. Obviously, there are opportunities here with Hampton Downs, no more Coe, but this track, first time running V8s or out at Supercars. What are your thoughts? First of all, Matt, obviously it's a proud moment to be back here racing as a New Zealander.
Yeah, absolutely. I probably come back to New Zealand at least once a year, and having a race over here makes that even more convenient. So I absolutely love coming back here, and I think most of the teams and the category and the sport in general all want more racing. I think we all agree on that. And a double header in New Zealand just makes perfect sense. New Zealand's got a huge amount of race tracks for what is a relatively small country compared to Australia. So to be able to utilise more than one of them on a trip over here makes perfect sense. I think the logistics involved in bringing the category over here, it'd be great to do 2 rounds back to back. I think there's a huge support for supercars in New Zealand, so finding the right track like Hampton Downs to complement it, I'm sure the fans would come out in droves and really appreciate it. So I think it's a great concept for the future, and I'd love to see it come to happen.
Brent, obviously leverage with sponsors and things like that plays an important part. And New Zealand is a large enough market in itself that most of your sponsors, I'm sure, would see this as a great opportunity.
Yeah, look, all of our partners love the round. Obviously, Penrite, we're pretty keen to change a livery. We agree with Matt. At the end of the day, it's a big expense for the category to come over here. There's so many good tracks, and there's a lot of supercar fans, and the country is still relatively quite spread out. So we're not getting to the South Island. We're not showing the full capability of supercars around New Zealand. So we would completely support going back to back, because it just makes sense. And the more people we can get through the gates, and the more people we can have that follow supercars, get to touch it and feel it, then that's a win-win for everyone. So I think, especially at the moment with all the other sports being so competitive, anything we can do to promote supercars to a broader audience is something that we jump on board with.
Both teams have made a really strong start to the season, obviously winning races, contending for race wins. Having Brody come back into Erebus, does it change your approach to where that team may sort of filter out in the pecking order? Like, do you expect him to be running at the front now? Do you expect Erebus to be a challenger in the team's championship when you talk about garages and that sort of stuff?
I think having Brody back is always a challenge. He's an incredible driver, and I don't think it will take him very long to get back to the front. But Supercars and Supercar Championship's bigger than just Brodie and Erebus. So there's 10 teams that can win races and there's 10 teams that can fight for the championship. So for sure, they'll be a competitive team, but Todd also didn't do a bad job. So I think to say now that we'd be more wary would probably not be correct. It's more just another driver that can win on any given day. But certainly for us, our approach, our attitude doesn't change.
Yeah, look, I think having Brodie back is fantastic. You know, you're only as good as the people you're racing against, and to have the guy who had such a fantastic year last year and won the championship back on the grid means we're all measuring ourselves against the right ruler. You know, we want to go out there and win, and we want to make sure that the field is as competitive as it can be. So I think Erebus were a strong team even without Brodie. You know, they're sitting, I think, 5th or something in the team's championship, and, you know, Brodie coming back to a team he's familiar with, you know, I expect them to be competitive. But at the same time, you know, we've made a jump up this year, as has the Grove team as well. So, you know, hopefully we've made a bigger jump than they have, and we can be competitive against them and see how it plays out on track.
And thoughts on having no fuel drop this weekend? What could we see strategy-wise and that sort of stuff? Is it a good move?
It's an interesting move. It's I think it's good because it puts more power on the teams to make a strategy or potentially mess it up. It puts more pressure on pit lane because you no longer have a stopwatch saying you must be here for this long in terms of the fuel drop. It's now down to how quickly you guys can change the tyres and plug the fuel in, and you know, much more emphasis on the engineering team being accurate with their fuel burn because you know, that's all time in pit lane. So I think it allows the teams to race harder off the track in terms of with the pit crew and the engineering team, and puts more emphasis on that than fuel drop does. So I think it's a good element to the race weekend, puts more pressure on the teams, makes it more competitive, and should hopefully make the racing better.
I think the strategy's going to be very similar, I would think. I don't think there'll be too much convergence at the end of the day. Time in the lane is the slowest way there. So everyone's going to be minimising as much as they can. I'd be surprised if there's much variation, but let's see. It could be great for the racing. We saw no pit stops at the Australian Grand Prix was really, really good for the racing. So I think credit to Supercars for trying different things. There's probably a bit of flack from Shane and other people over the last couple of years that things are a bit stale, but Supercars have taken that on board and looking to try stuff. So I think at the moment it's only for this round. We'll see what happens moving forward, but the more things we can do to make the racing better, the more we support.
Would you sort of agree that the Grand Prix did kind of showcase that sometimes if you take some of the rules and the limitations out of the racing product, it can actually improve from simplicity?
I think AGP as a circuit probably lended itself to that as well because of the nature of the passing and the circuit. I think it was good for the show. We probably overstepped the driving standards a bit too much in my opinion. I think a lot of stuff got let go that we wouldn't have thought. So yeah, it's a fine balance. Obviously we want to make sure the show's good and we want to race hard, but at some times it was a bit of a lottery as to whether you made it out of a corner or if you got a penalty or not. So that's probably not a great element, but let's see if that's the same this weekend or if it gets pulled back a bit.
Alrighty, well, I think that covers us today. Good way to start off the weekend. Thank you very much, guys, for your time, and we'll see you at the track tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you.